Chapter 1. The Hidden Family. 3 days after Zina said, "I love you" to Junpyo, the legal papers arrived. She was having breakfast with Junpyo when Minho brought in the courier package. His expression looked troubled. "What is it?" Junpyo asked, immediately on alert. "Legal documents. From a woman named Mrs. Park and her daughter, Jiwoo Park." Minho set the package on the table. "They're contesting the validity of your marriage to Mrs. Gu." Zina's stomach dropped. "On what grounds?" "They claim Mr. Marcus Johnson didn't have legal authority to enter into the marriage contract because he'd already signed over his parental rights in a previous divorce." Minho's jaw tightened. "They're arguing that the contract should transfer to his legitimate daughter, Jiwoo Park." "Wait," Zina said slowly. "What legitimate daughter? What previous divorce?" Hey beautiful souls. Welcome back to Afro-Korean Diaries. And if this is your first time here, welcome. You've just stumbled into the most addictive romance storytelling channel on YouTube, so buckle up. Today is huge because we're continuing Zina's story with part 2. Quick recap for those who need it. Zina was sold by her gambling father to Gu Junpyo, a powerful Korean mafia king, for $2 million. She was forced into marriage and trapped in a golden cage. But in part 1, something unexpected happened. She fell in love. She chose to stay. She said those 3 powerful words, "I love you." But you know what they say, love is never easy. And in part 2, everything Zina thought she knew is about to be shattered. Yuna, Junpyo's ex-fiancé, is back. Zina's father is released from prison. And secrets from the past are about to explode into the present. Before we dive in, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button if you're ready for this emotional roller coaster. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. Comment below, are you team she should trust him or team she should run? And share this story with your romance-loving friends. Alright, let's get into it. Part 2 starts now. Junpyo was already reading the documents, his face darkening with each page. According to this, your father was married before your mother, to a Korean woman named Mrs. Park. They had a daughter, Jiwoo, and divorced when the child was 3. Mrs. Park got full custody, and your father was legally barred from contact. Junpyo responded to Zina's questions. "That's impossible. My father never mentioned having another family besides me and my late mother." "There's more," Minho said quietly. "They're claiming that since the marriage contract was predicated on familial debt settlement, and since Jiwoo is Marcus Trump's legal daughter with custodial standing, she should be the one married to Mr. Gu, not you." "This is insane," Zina sighed in frustration. "You can't just substitute people like that." "They're trying to." Junpyo's voice was lethally calm, the kind of calm that meant he was furious. "They want to invalidate our marriage and force me to marry this Jiwoo instead." "Can they do that? Legally?" Zina asked curiously. "Our lawyers will fight it." "But yes, there's a slim chance a court could rule that the contract was invalid due to your father's lack of legal authority." He set the papers down carefully, like they might explode. "Which means we need to get ahead of this. Now." "How?" Zina asked. "By finding out who these people really are and what they actually want." His eyes met hers. "Because I guarantee it's not about legal standing or contracts. It's about money." Zina felt sick. She had a sister. A half-sister she'd never known existed. And that sister, or her mother, wanted to steal her husband. "I need to see my father," she said, standing abruptly. "Now." They found Marcus at his halfway house, and Zina didn't bother with pleasantries. "Tell me about your first wife," she demanded the moment they were alone in the common room. "Tell me about your other family, Mrs. Park and Jiwoo." Marcus's face crumbled. "How did you? Is that even necessary to ask now? Father, how many secrets do you have left to hide? I just need you to tell me everything. I don't want any information to be left out." Zina's voice shook with fury. Marcus sank into a chair, suddenly looking every one of his 60 years. "Her name was Sunhee Park. We met when I was in my early 30s, got married fast, and had Jiwoo a year later. But I was already gambling by then. Sunhee left me when Jiwoo was already 2 years old then, got full custody, and I lost contact with my daughter." "And you never thought to mention this?" "Not once in my entire life." Zina asked with anger. What was I supposed to say? Hey, my girl, your dad had a whole other family he abandoned because of gambling. His voice cracked. I was ashamed. I wanted to be better for you and your mother. So, I just never told anyone. When did Mom find out? Marcus looked away. She never did. I kept it from her too. Zina became more furious. Her mother had died, never knowing her husband had been married before and had another child. Where are they now? Mrs. Park and Jiwoo? Zina asked. I don't know. After the divorce, Sunhee remarried some wealthy businessman who adopted Jiwoo. I was cut out completely. I haven't spoken to either of them up till today. Until they found out you gave your daughter away to a wealthy man without her approval, Junpyo said from the doorway where he'd been listening. I had no idea they'd come after Zina. No idea they even knew about the marriage. It's a public record, Junpyo said coldly. Easy to find if you're looking. And clearly they were looking. Zina felt tears of rage building behind her eyes. You've destroyed my life in so many ways, Dad. But this, having a secret family, keeping a sister from me, this might be the worst. Baby girl. Don't. Just don't. She stood, needing to leave before she said something she couldn't take back. We're done here. In the car, Zina sat in rigid silence while Junpyo made calls to their legal team. Her mind was spinning. She had a sister. A half-sister. Jiwoo. Did Jiwoo know about me? Had she known all along that she had a half-sister her father had abandoned her for? What are you thinking? Junpyo asked after ending his latest call. I think I want to meet her. Who? Junpyo asked. Jiwoo. Zina turned to look at him. I need to know what they really want from us. I want to meet her face to face. That's not a good idea, Junpyo said calmly. Why do you say so? Zina asked. I think you should let me handle this myself. I don't want you to bother yourself about this. Junpyo, I am just curious to know what my stepsister looks like. I always wish I had a sister or a brother. I am angry at my father only because he hid the truth from my mom and me. But the idea of having a stepsister isn't that bad. Zina said with almost a smile, forgetting her worry earlier. Then we'll arrange a meeting. But I'm coming with you. I wouldn't have it any other way. Junpyo said firmly and Zina agreed. The meeting was set for 3 days later at a neutral location, a private room in a high-end restaurant. Zina spent those 3 days anxious and angry in equal measure. When the day arrived, she dressed carefully in a simple but elegant dress, gold hoops, and minimal makeup. She wanted to look confident but not intimidating. Strong but approachable. If the misunderstanding gets settled, Zina thought she would consider giving them a chance to be a happy family. They arrived at the restaurant first. Junpyo took her hand as they waited. Whatever happens, he said quietly, you're my wife. That's not changing. I don't care what any court says. I know. Zina replied with a smile. Do you? Because I need you to really know. Even if this whole marriage is legally invalidated, even if they somehow win, I'm marrying you again in a legal way with your full choice and consent. Nothing changes that. Before Zina could respond, the door opened. 2 women entered. The first was older, probably in her 50s, impeccably dressed in expensive designer clothes, her face coldly beautiful. Mrs. Park, Zina presumed. The second was younger, according to the documents. And she looked so much like Marcus that Zina's breath caught. Jiwoo Park had their father's eyes. His bone structure. His smile. Though she wasn't smiling now, her expression was uncertain and almost frightened. Mr. Gu, Mrs. Park said smoothly, extending her hand. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Junpyo didn't take her hand. Mrs. Park. Let's skip the pleasantries. You're trying to invalidate my marriage and substitute your daughter. I'd like to know why. Because the contract was fraudulent. Marcus had no legal right to trade Zina when he'd already surrendered his parental rights to my daughter. The contract was unethical regardless of whose father signed it. No court is going to enforce human trafficking. We'll see what the courts say. Mrs. Park's smile was cold. But I thought we could discuss this civilly. Perhaps come to an arrangement. We're not interested in arrangements, Zina said, finding her voice. She was looking at Jiwoo, who hadn't spoken yet. I want to talk to your daughter. Alone. Mrs. Park's eyes narrowed. That's not. I'm happy to talk, Jiwoo interrupted her mother, speaking for the first time. Her voice was soft, accented. She'd clearly been raised in a Korean-speaking household. If Zina, Dongsing wants to talk, I'll talk. Dongsing. The Korean term for younger sister. Something twisted in Zina's chest. Fine, Mrs. Park said after a tense moment. But we'll be just outside. The two older parties left, leaving Zina and Jiwoo alone. They stared at each other across the table. You look like him, Zina said finally. Our father. You don't. You must look like your mother. I do. Zina sat down slowly. Did you know about me? Before all this. Jiwoo nodded. I found out when I was 15. I hired a private investigator to find my biological father, and he discovered Marcus had remarried and had another daughter, and that was you. And you never tried to contact me? What would I say? Hi, I'm the daughter your father abandoned. Jiwoo's laugh was bitter. Besides, my mother forbade it. Said Marcus was dead to us. That I should focus on my real family, her and my adoptive father. But now you're here. Trying to take my husband. I'm not. Jiwoo stopped, looking miserable. This is all my mother's idea. When she found out about your marriage, she saw an opportunity. Money, status, revenge against Marcus for abandoning us. I don't know. But she filed the lawsuit, not me. Jiwoo responded with an innocent facial expression. But you're part of it, Zina said. Because she's my mother and I owe her everything. She raised me alone after Marcus left. Jiwoo met Zina's eyes. But I don't want your husband. I don't even know him. And I certainly don't want to marry someone against his will. Zina studied her sister's face, looking for deception. She saw only misery and resignation. Then why not refuse? Tell your mother no. You don't understand. My mother, Jiwoo's voice dropped. She's not a kind woman. She's controlling, manipulative. And when she wants something, she gets it. One way or another. So you're a victim in this too. I'm a coward, Jiwoo corrected. I should stand up to her. But I don't know how. They sat in heavy silence. Finally, Zina said, I don't want to be enemies with you. You're my sister. We didn't choose our father or our circumstances. But we can choose what happens now. What do you want to happen? Jiwoo asked. I want you to tell the truth in court, that this lawsuit is your mother's idea, not yours. That you don't actually want to marry Junpyo. And in exchange, Zina took a breath. In exchange, I want to try to have a relationship with you. As sisters. If you want that. Jiwoo's eyes filled with tears. You do that? After everything. You said it yourself, you didn't choose this. Neither did I. But we can choose to be family despite it. My mother will never allow it. Then we'll do it behind her back. Zina pulled out her phone. Give me your number. We'll meet without her knowing. Get to know each other. And you'll help me fight this lawsuit by telling the truth. Jiwoo hesitated for a long moment. Then she pulled out her own phone. They exchanged numbers. And Zina was surprisingly delighted. When Mrs. Park and Junpyo returned, both women were composed. We're done here, Zina said, standing. Your lawsuit will fail, Mrs. Park. Because Jiwoo is going to testify that she doesn't want to marry Junpyo, that this is entirely your manipulation. And then you'll leave us alone. Mrs. Park's face went cold with fury. Jiwoo, you will do no such thing. Mother. We're leaving. Now. She grabbed Jiwoo's arm and pulled her toward the door. But Jiwoo looked back at Zina with an unreadable expression in her eyes. I'll call you, she mouthed. And Zina believed her. In the car afterward, Junpyo said, that was either brilliant or extremely naive. Maybe both, Zina admitted. But she's my sister, Junpyo. My only living family besides my father. I have to try. I don't think they deserve your kindness. Junpyo said to Zina. Well, I can't control my emotions right now. Maybe it's because I've always wished to have a sister. And it's happening. He took her hand, squeezing gently. Then I'll be here to catch you if it goes wrong. Thanks for not making this hard for me. No need to thank me. I am your husband. But don't you think I deserve a reward? Junpyo asked with a mischievous smile. What reward do you want? Zina asked with a smile while looking intently at Junpyo. Guess what? Junpyo said to Zina. I can't guess, but I know for sure that you have something mischievous up your sleeve. Then close your eyes. Junpyo pleaded. What do you want to do? Zina asked suspiciously. Just trust me. All right, my eyes are closed. Junpyo traced Zina's lips with his right thumb, and then just when Zina was still trying to figure out what he was up to, he kissed her lips. Zina's eyes widened, but she didn't push Junpyo away. She kissed him back. Jiwoo called 2 days later. They met at a quiet cafe, just the two of them. And slowly, carefully, they began to know each other. Jiwoo told stories of growing up in a Korean-American household, of being raised by a controlling mother and a distant stepfather, of always feeling like something was missing. Zina told stories of her mother's illness, her father's gambling, her forced marriage that was becoming something real. They discovered shared interests, both loved old movies, both had wanted to work in social services, both had complicated relationships with their father. And slowly and tentatively, they began to feel like sisters. I'm going to testify against my mother's lawsuit, Jiwoo said over coffee one afternoon. I'm going to tell the court this was all her idea, that I have no interest in marrying your husband. She'll be furious. And I don't want you to have any misunderstanding with your mother because of me. Maybe we should give her time. Zina said with a guilty conscience. Don't blame yourself for this. You were right about one thing, I've been a coward for too long. Jiwoo's hands shook slightly. I'm 26 years old. It's time I stood up for myself. I'm proud of you, Zina said, and meant it. I have one request though, Jiwoo said. Name it. When this is over, when the lawsuit is dismissed, can we really try to be sisters? Can we build something real? Zina reached across the table and took Jiwoo's hand. I'd like that very much. But neither of them noticed the woman watching from a car across the street, her face twisted with rage. Mrs. Park was not a woman who accepted defeat gracefully. And she was about to prove just how dangerous a vengeful mother could be. Chapter 2, The Lawsuit. The lawsuit was dismissed 3 weeks later when Jiwoo testified that she had no interest in marrying Junpyo and that the entire case had been filed by her mother without her consent. Mrs. Park was furious. The courtroom scene was ugly, her screaming at Jiwoo and calling her ungrateful and traitorous daughter, promising there would be consequences. Security had to escort her out. Jiwoo stood in the hallway afterward, shaking but resolute. I did it, she said to Zina. I actually stood up to her. You were amazing, Zina said with a grateful smile. I'm homeless now. I've been disowned by my mother. Jiwoo laughed, but it sounded close to tears. 26 years old, and I have nowhere to go. You have somewhere, Zina said firmly. You're staying with us. At the penthouse. Zina, I can't. You're my sister. You're my family now. And family takes care of each other. Jiwoo burst into tears, and Zina held her while she cried. Over Jiwoo's shoulder, she saw Junpyo watching with an unreadable expression. Later, in the car, he said quietly, Are you sure about this? Bringing her into our home? She has nowhere else to go. Her mother disowned her for helping us. I just don't feel comfortable about bringing her to our home. You're paranoid. Zina replied to him. I'm protective. There's a difference. He sighed. But if this is what you want, then we'll do it. Just be careful. I will. Zina replied and was grateful for his concern. But Zina was so hungry for a sister that she missed the warning signs. Jiwoo moved into the penthouse the next day. She was the perfect houseguest, grateful, helpful, and never imposing. She cooked Korean meals, taught Zina bits of the language, and slowly became part of their daily life. Zina loved having her there. For the first time since her mother died, she had the family she always wanted. Someone to talk to share things with, to be sisters with. But Junpyo remained cautious. He asked Minho to run background checks, to monitor Jiwoo's communications, to watch for anything suspicious. Nothing yet, Minho reported after 2 weeks. She's clean. No contact with her mother, no suspicious activity. Keep watching, Junpyo ordered. People like Mrs. Park don't give up. If this is a long con, we need to be ready. Meanwhile, Zina was oblivious to his concerns. She was too happy finally having a sister. They went shopping together, watched movies, talked late into the night about everything and nothing. And slowly, Zina let her guard down completely. which was exactly what Mrs. Park had planned. 3 weeks into Jiwoo's stay, Marcus called Zina. "Baby girl, I need to see you. It's important." "What's wrong?" "I'm in the hospital. St. Vincent's. I collapsed at work yesterday." His voice was weak. "They're running tests, but I think it's serious." Zina's heart clenched despite everything. He was still her father. "I'm coming right now," she told Junpyo and Jiwoo, and all three of them went to the hospital. Marcus looked terrible, gaunt, gray, hooked up to monitors and IVs. Whatever was wrong with him, it wasn't good. "The doctors think it might be liver failure," he said weakly. "From the years of drinking. They're running more tests, but—" He trailed off. "Don't talk like that," Zina said, taking his hand. "You're going to be fine." "I hope so, my girl. But if I'm not, I need to make sure you and Jiwoo are taken care of." "We're both fine, Dad. Don't worry about us." "Still, I have some assets left, the house your mother and I bought, a small savings account. I want to make sure it's properly distributed between you two." He looked at Jiwoo. "I know I failed you, sweetheart. I want to make that right before I—" "Don't talk like that," Jiwoo said, her eyes filling with tears. "You're going to be okay." The hospital visit was emotional and exhausting. And none of them noticed the woman who'd been standing just outside Marcus's room, listening to everything. Mrs. Park. She'd come to the hospital not to see her ex-husband, but to set the final phase of her plan in motion. Over the next 1 week, Marcus's condition worsened. The tests came back: severe liver damage, possibly cirrhosis, complicated by other factors the doctors couldn't quite pinpoint. He was fading fast. Zina and Jiwoo visited him daily. They were there when he updated his will, when he signed papers distributing his modest assets, when he said all the things a dying man says to his daughters. But what they didn't know is that Mrs. Park was visiting him too. Late at night, when no one else was there. Bringing him soup. Helping him eat. Playing the concerned ex-wife. And slowly and carefully poisoning him. A slow poison that's enough to accelerate his liver failure, to make his death seem like a natural progression of his illness. Nobody suspected anything. Until the day Marcus changed his will. "I want everything to go to Jiwoo," he told the lawyer in Jiwoo's and Zina's presence. "She's the daughter I abandoned. The one I owe the most to. Zina, you have Junpyo now. You're taken care of. But Jiwoo, she has nothing. I want her to have the house, the savings, and everything." Zina was still happy, but she felt sad at the same time. Not because she had less wealth, but she wondered what made her father to change his mind without even caring how she would feel about it. "Dad, please, my dear. Let me do this. Let me make things right with at least one of my daughters before I go." "But what about?" "You don't need it. You're married to a billionaire. Jiwoo has nothing. Please, let me do this." "Father, what I meant to say is that it's okay for Jiwoo to have your property. I plan to give it to her anyways." Zina looked at Jiwoo, who seemed as shocked. "I don't want it if Zina Dongsing won't partake in the property shares," Jiwoo said quickly. "We can split it." "No need for that, Jiwoo. You can have all the properties." Jiwoo cried in front of Zina and hugged her. Then she reluctantly signed the papers. Marcus died 3 days later. The official cause was liver failure, sad but not suspicious. Only Mrs. Park knew the truth, that she'd murdered her ex-husband to accelerate his death, to ensure Jiwoo inherited before Zina could contest anything, to set her final plan in motion. The funeral was small. Just Zina, Junpyo, Jiwoo, and a handful of Marcus's coworkers. Mrs. Park didn't come. She'd gotten what she wanted. At the graveside, Zina stood with teary eyes while Jiwoo cried. "Are you okay?" Junpyo asked quietly as they drove home. "No, but I will be." "Talk to me," Junpyo insisted. "I am just happy that I was able to spend time with my father and my sister during our father's final days. But I still wonder why my father would change his mind the way he did. It didn't seem right to me." Zina's voice was flat. "Maybe he thought you didn't need it." "I don't. Not financially. But that's not the point." His words seemed like someone who is being brainwashed. "Zina, take me home. I can't talk about this right now." Junpyo did, and that night Zina cried herself to sleep in his arms. She never saw Jiwoo standing outside their bedroom door, listening with a small satisfied smile. Or Mrs. Park in her car across the street, watching the penthouse with cold triumph. The first phase of the plan was complete. Now for phase 2. Chapter 3. The long-run con drama. After Marcus's death, Jiwoo became even more ingrained in their lives. She was sweet, helpful, always there when Zina needed her. She played the perfect sister. She cleaned the penthouse without being asked. She cooked elaborate meals. She listened when Zina needed to talk and gave space when Zina needed silence. And slowly, carefully, she worked her way into Junpyo's trust. "You were right about her," Junpyo admitted to Zina one evening. "She's not like her mother. She's genuine." "I told you," Zina said to him. "And I'm sorry I doubted her. She's been good for you, good for both of us." What he didn't notice was how Jiwoo looked at him when she thought no one was watching. How her eyes followed him across the room sometimes, how she found excuses to touch his arm, his shoulder, and his hand. She played the role of innocent senior sister perfectly. Childlike and harmless sister in need of protection. And it worked. Junpyo, who was normally suspicious of everyone, relaxed around her. She was family now. Zina's sister. Meanwhile, Jiwoo was playing a much longer game. She'd never wanted to testify against her mother. The disownment had been staged a ploy to get her into Zina and Junpyo's home, into their trust, and into their lives. Mrs. Park had orchestrated everything, the lawsuit, the dramatic courtroom disownment. Even Marcus's death was meant to create grief and vulnerability. It was all part of the plan. Because what Jiwoo really wanted was simple: Gu Junpyo. She'd seen pictures of him during her private investigations. Seen his wealth, his power, and his devastating handsome looks. And she'd wanted him. When her mother discovered Zina's marriage, Jiwoo had seen her opportunity. And she'd played the long game, becoming the sympathetic sister, earning trust, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That moment was approaching. 3 weeks after Marcus's death, Zina had an important meeting. She'd been working with a charity organization to establish the social services program she'd always dreamed of, helping families in crisis and preventing situations like her own. The meeting was across town and would take most of the day. "Do you need me to come?" Junpyo asked that morning. "No, you have the board meeting. I'll be fine." Zina kissed him. "Jiwoo will be here if you need anything. I'll probably just work in my office all day. But tell her thanks." Zina left at 9 a.m. The moment her car pulled away, Jiwoo went to work. She'd been planning this for weeks. Now it was time. She went to the underground garage where Zina's car was usually parked, the second car, the one Zina drove when she wanted privacy. Minho didn't drive her everywhere anymore. She'd insisted on independence. Jiwoo knew cars. Her adoptive father had been a mechanic before becoming wealthy, and he'd taught her everything. She crawled under the car with a wrench and went to work on the brake lines. Just enough damage that they'd fail eventually, probably on a highway or at a high speed. It would look like an accident. Faulty maintenance, it will be tragic, but not suspicious. She finished in 20 minutes, cleaned up, and went back to the penthouse to wait. But someone had seen her. Minho had been reviewing security footage from the garage routine checks he did weekly. And he'd noticed Jiwoo going in with tools and coming out 20 minutes later. He immediately went to check Zina's car and found the damaged brake lines. His blood ran cold. He called Zina immediately. "Mrs. Gu, do not drive your car when you return. I repeat, do not drive the silver Mercedes. The brake lines have been tampered with." "What? By who?" Zina asked with a surprising look. "I'm reviewing footage now. But ma'am, I need to tell Mr. Gu. This is attempted murder." "Who did this, Minho?" A long pause. "It appears to be your sister, ma'am." Zina froze in shock. "That's impossible. Jiwoo would never." "I have the video, Mrs. Gu. I'm sending it to you now." Zina's phone buzzed. She opened the video and watched, disbelieving, as Jiwoo crawled under her car with a wrench and methodically damaged the brake lines. Her sister, her family. The girl she'd trusted completely had just tried to kill her. "Mrs. Gu? Are you there?" "I'm here." Zina's voice sounded hollow even to her own ears. "Don't tell Junpyo yet. I need to think." Ma'am, with respect, he needs to know. She's in your home right now. She's a threat. I know. But I need to handle this my way. Give me a few hours. Please. Minho reluctantly agreed. But I'm watching her. If she makes any move toward Mr. Gu or toward leaving, I'm telling him everything and detaining her. Fair enough. Zina replied. Zina ended the call and sat in her car. Her mind was reeling. Jiwoo had tried to kill her. Her own sister. The girl she'd welcomed into her home, her life, and her family. Why? The lawsuit. The courtroom disownment. Moving into their home and earning their trust. What really went wrong? Or was this really a long con drama like what Junpyo had suspected back then? Rage flooded through Zina, hot and vicious. She wanted to go back to the penthouse and confront Jiwoo. Wanted to watch her face when she realized she'd been caught. But then she had a better idea. She called Minho back. Here's what we're going to do. Chapter 4. The Fake Death. Minho listened to Zina's plan and was quiet for a long moment. You want to fake your own death, he said finally. Yes. Let Jiwoo think her plan worked. That the car crashed and I died. Then we will watch what she does, what she really wants. Mrs. Gu, this is dangerous. If we fake your death, Mr. Gu will believe it. It will destroy him. I know. And I hate that. But if we just arrest Jiwoo now, we'll never know the full scope of the plan. Never know if Mrs. Park is involved. Never know what they're really after. Zina's voice hardened. I want to know everything before I strike back. And you're willing to put Mr. Gu through hell to do it? Miho asked. It'll be temporary. A few days at most. Then I will be back and he'll understand why I had to do it. I'm not sure this is a good idea, ma'am. Mr. Gu would probably be really hurt. It's just for a few days, Miho. And I need your help to pull this off. Minho sighed heavily. What do you need? They spent the next hour planning. You're sure about this? Minho asked one final time. I'm sure. Do it. Zina insisted after they finished with their plans. The plan was carried out that evening by Miho. Zina drove to the designated location in the tampered car, knowing the brakes would fail at highway speeds. Minho followed in a second vehicle. They made the switch at a remote overlook area, Zina getting into Minho's car while he placed the body in hers. This is the point of no return, he said. Once we send this car over the embankment, there's no taking it back. Mr. Gu will believe you're dead. All right, and thanks for helping me, Zina said with a grateful smile. Miho nodded at her calmly. Then he released the brake and sent the car over the edge. It tumbled, crashed, and exploded in a fireball that could be seen for miles. Zina watched her death from Minho's car. And it was staged perfectly. Miho, you can go home now. I will take this other car to the hotel I've rented temporarily. Just give me feedback on every step she takes and remember, so not let Junpyo suspect a thing or even let Jiwoo find out that you're aware of her plans. All right, ma'am. Please take care of yourself. Miho said to Zina, and Zina nodded with a grateful smile. The call came to Junpyo at 8 p.m. Sir, Minho's voice was choked. There's been an accident. Mrs. Gu's car went off Highway 101. It exploded, sir. The world crumbled around Junpyo. What? Emergency crews are on scene. The car is completely destroyed. They found a body, sir. Female, burned beyond recognition. They'll need to do dental records to confirm, but... No. The word came out flat. No. Not Zina. I'm so sorry, sir. I should have been with her. I should have driven her. This is my fault. Where is she? Take me to her. Sir, the scene is active. They won't let anyone close until... I don't care. Take me there. Now. Minho did, hating himself for what he was doing to his boss, but trusting that Mrs. Gu knew what she was doing. Junpyo arrived at the scene to find emergency vehicles, police, fire crews working to contain the blaze. The car was a twisted, burning wreck at the bottom of a ravine. And somewhere in that wreckage was a body they thought was Zina. Junpyo stood at the barrier, staring down at the flames, and something in him shattered. He couldn't believe that his wife was gone. The woman he loved, the wife he'd fought for, the person who'd made him want to be better, gone in an instant of fire and metal. Sir, Minho touched his arm. We should go. There's nothing you can do here. I need to see her. You can't. Not yet. The body is too, Minho's voice broke. I'm so sorry, sir. Junpyo stormed forward to go and see Zina. He didn't believe that Zina would die just like that. The securities held him tightly, but Junpyo refused to budge. He fought his way out. But before he could get to the scene close enough, more securities came and stopped him, and this time, Miho held him back too. Due to how emotional he was at that moment, he was powerless. He was held in place. He was unable to breathe and unable to function. Eventually, Minho physically led him back to the car and drove him home. Jiwoo was waiting when they arrived, her face tear-streaked and horrified. Appa, she was already sobbing uncontrollably. Miho looked at her with disgust, but he didn't let Jiwoo see his facial expression. I heard about Dongsing. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And Junpyo, broken and grieving, let her hug him while he stood like a statue, feeling nothing but emptiness. From across the street, in a darkened car. That night, Miho couldn't control Junpyo. He had to call his personal doctor to come and sedate him. As Junpyo laid calm on the bed, he received a call from Zina's number. Sir, the owner of this phone has just had an accident. She is badly injured and fighting for her life right now. His blood ran cold. What? Wait, what happened to her? She was fine a few hours ago. Please come to New Spring Hospital immediately. The line went dead before Miho could ask further questions. Chapter 5. The Year of Hell. Minho's hands shook as he processed what he'd just heard. The plan had been simple. Zina fakes her death. They watch Jiwoo's reaction, gather evidence, then Zina returns back home. But something had gone terribly wrong. He checked the address. New Spring Hospital was 2 hours outside the city, in a different jurisdiction entirely. Why was Zina there? She should have been at the hotel, safe, watching security feeds with him. He made an excuse to the still-sedated Junpyo, some emergency with suppliers, and drove through the night, his mind racing with worst-case scenarios. When he arrived at New Spring Hospital, a doctor met him in the emergency ward. Are you the family of the patient? Yes, Minho lied. What happened? Your sister was brought in 4 hours ago after a severe car accident on Highway 7. The vehicle went off the road at high speed and crashed into a ravine. She was ejected from the car and suffered severe head trauma, multiple broken bones, and internal bleeding. Minho felt the room tilt. Is she alive? She's barely alive. We've stabilized her, but she's in critical condition. The next 48 hours will determine if she will survive. The doctor paused. I have to ask, do you know if the brakes on her vehicle were recently serviced? The preliminary crash investigation suggests possible brake failure. Brake failure. The words hit Minho like a physical blow. Can I see her? She's in the ICU. But I warn you, she's heavily sedated and on life support. It's not easy to see. Nothing could have prepared Minho for what he saw. Zina lay in the hospital bed, barely recognizable. Her beautiful face was swollen and bruised, bandages covering half her head, tubes and wires connecting her to machines that beeped and hissed, keeping her alive. Her right arm was in a cast, her ribs heavily bandaged. She looked like she was dying. Mrs. Gu, Minho whispered, moving to her bedside. I'm so sorry. This is my fault. It's all my fault. He sank into the chair beside her bed, his head in his hands, and for the first time in his professional career, Minho cried. They should have reported to Mr. Gu. Should have arrested Jiwoo the moment they found the tampered brakes. Should have done this any other way. But instead, he'd gone along with Mrs. Gu's plan to fake her death, and now she was actually dying. And Mr. Gu. Mr. Gu thought his wife had been dead for less than 24 hours and was already destroyed. What would happen if he lost her for real? Over the next 2 days, Minho stayed at Zina's bedside, leaving only to make calls and review footage. He obtained the traffic camera footage from Highway 7 and watched in horror as Zina's car suddenly accelerated on a downhill stretch. He could see her fighting the wheel, trying to stop, before the car veered off the road and disappeared into the ravine. Miho thought that Jiwoo hadn't just sabotaged the Mercedes. She'd somehow found out about the rental car and sabotaged that too. Or worse, Mrs. Park had people watching, or had figured out the fake death plan, and had tried to ensure Zina died for real. Either way, this was attempted murder. On the third day, the doctor gave him an update. She's stable. Still critical, but stable. We've stopped the internal bleeding, set the bones, reduced the brain swelling. If she makes it through the next week, she has a chance. Will she recover fully? It's too early to say. The head trauma was severe. Even if she wakes up, there may be complications. Memory loss, cognitive impairment, physical disabilities. We won't know until, if, she regains consciousness. How long? Miho asked. Could be days. Could be months. Could be never. The doctor's face was grave. I'm sorry. I wish I had better answers. Minho made his decision that night. He couldn't tell Mr. Gu. Not yet. Not when Mrs. Gu might die anyway. Not when telling him would mean explaining the fake death plan. Not when Mr. Gu was already barely holding on. If Mrs. Gu died, really died, Mr. Gu would never recover from learning the truth. But if she lived, if she survived and recovered, then he'd tell them both everything and accept whatever consequences came. Until then, he'd protect her. Hide her. Give her every chance to survive. He arranged for Zina to be transferred to a private facility in a different city, far from anyone who might recognize her. He hired the best doctors, the best nurses, and the best rehabilitation specialists. Money was no object. Mr. Gu's fortune would save Mrs. Gu's life, even if he didn't know it yet. He registered her under a false name, Sarah Johnson, and paid cash for everything. Then he returned to the city, to the penthouse, to his boss who was falling apart. 1 month after the death, Junpyo had stopped speaking in complete sentences. He attended board meetings like a ghost, signing whatever was put in front of him without reading it. He ate only when Minho physically put food in front of him. His new bed was in Zina's closet, surrounded by her clothes. Minho had to hire 3 full-time staff just to keep Junpyo functioning, a cook to prepare meals, a housekeeper to maintain the penthouse, and a nurse to monitor his health because Junpyo had lost so much weight the doctor was concerned about organ failure. And through it all, Jiwoo played the devoted sister. She was there every day, sitting with Junpyo, talking to him softly, trying to draw him out. She seemed genuinely concerned, genuinely trying to help, but it was still for her own selfish gain. Minho knew better. He watched her like a hawk. Cameras recorded her every move, every word, and every interaction. Meanwhile, 3 hours away, Zina remained in a coma. Minho visited her twice a week, driving through the night to sit by her bedside. You have to wake up, Mrs. Gu, he said during one visit. Mr. Gu needs you. He's dying without you. And I can't tell him you're alive because I don't know if you'll survive. Please. Please wake up. But Zina remained still, machines breathing for her, monitors tracking her fragile hold on life. 3 months after the death, Junpyo had progressed from ghost to something worse. He'd become a shell. He no longer attended meetings at all. The board ran the company without him. He spent his days staring at nothing, occasionally going to Zina's grave to stand in silence for hours. The staff was terrified. The nurse reported that his vitals were concerning, blood pressure was too low, and heart rate was irregular, signs of severe depression and possible suicidal ideation. Should we admit him to a facility? She asked Minho. No. He'd never forgive me. Just keep watching him. Make sure he doesn't hurt himself. Jiwoo had ramped up her efforts, spending entire days at the penthouse, sitting with Junpyo, trying to coax him back to life. Appa, you need to eat something, she'd say gently, offering him food he'd ignore. Appa, it's a beautiful day. Let's go outside. Appa, Dongsing wouldn't want to see you like this. Sometimes Junpyo would respond with a single word. Usually, he said nothing at all. Minho watched it all with growing guilt and horror. He'd done this. His plan had destroyed his boss and might kill Mrs. Gu. At the private facility, there was a development. She's showing signs of emerging from the coma, the doctor reported. Brain activity is increasing, she's responding to stimuli. It could be days or weeks, but I think she's coming back. Minho felt hope for the first time in 3 months. 6 months after the death, Zina opened her eyes. The world was white and blurry. Machines beeped. People moved around her in blue and white clothing. Miss Johnson? Can you hear me? Who is Miss Johnson? Can you tell me your name? Her name. She should know her name. Why didn't she know her name? It's okay. Don't strain yourself. You've been in an accident. You're in the hospital. You're safe. An accident? Do you know where you are? She tried to speak, but her throat was too dry and too painful. A nurse brought water and helped her sip it. I don't know, she finally managed to whisper. The doctor's face creased with concern. That's all right. Let's start simple. Can you tell me anything you remember? Your name? Where you're from? Anyone we should call? Zina searched her mind desperately. There was something that flashed in her head. It was fragments of a woman's face and a man's face too. My mother, she whispered. My father. I remember them. Good. That's very good. What are their names? I don't. I can't. It's okay. Memory loss after severe head trauma is common. The memories may come back with time. The doctor made notes. We'll start rehabilitation. Physical therapy for your injuries, cognitive therapy for the memory issues. You're very lucky to be alive, Miss Johnson. That name again. Johnson. It felt wrong, but she didn't know why. When the doctor left, Zina lay in bed trying to piece together her fragmented mind. She remembered a woman, her mother, sick in a hospital bed. She remembered a man, her father, who made her feel, what? Love and anger mixed together. But beyond that, nothing. No home. No life. No identity. Who is she? 2 days later, a man came to visit. He was Asian, professional-looking, in his 30s. He seemed familiar in a way she couldn't place. Mrs., he stopped himself. Sarah. I'm a friend. I've been taking care of you since the accident. Something about his voice. Do I know you? We've met before. But it's okay if you don't remember. The doctor said you might have memory issues. He pulled up a chair. How are you feeling? Confused. I can't remember anything except. I think I remember my parents. A woman and a man. But I don't know their names or where they are. The man's face fell. I see. The memory loss is more extensive than we hoped. You know me? You know who I am. I do. And I'll help you remember. But slowly. The doctor said not to overwhelm you. He paused. My name is Minho. And you're someone very important. Over the following weeks, Minho visited regularly. At first, Zina was frustrated by how little he told her. He'd answer some questions but deflect others, always saying when you're stronger or the doctor says to take it slow. But gradually, as her physical injuries healed and her mind cleared, he began to reveal the truth. Your name is Zina, he said during one visit. Zina Gu. The name felt right in a way Sarah Johnson never had. Your mother passed away when you were younger. I'm very sorry. She'd known somehow. The grief felt old and familiar. And my father? Minho hesitated. Your father recently passed as well. I'm sorry. He was ill for some time. She should feel something. But the emotions were muted, distant, belonging to a person she couldn't quite remember being. Why am I here? What happened to me? You were in a car accident. The brake lines failed. You went off the road and crashed. His voice was heavy with guilt. You nearly died. You've been in a coma for 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of her life. Does anyone else know I'm here? Family? Friends? Minho's face showed such complex emotion that Zina knew the answer was complicated. There's someone, he said carefully. Someone who loves you very much. But he thinks you're dead. What? It's complicated. And I'll explain everything when you're ready. But yes, there's someone waiting for you. He just doesn't know you're alive. Then tell him. Why wouldn't you? Because I made a terrible mistake. And I'm trying to fix it before it destroys him completely. Minho's voice cracked. I need you to trust me. When you've recovered fully, when your memories have returned, I'll take you to him. Not until you're strong enough. Zina wanted to argue, but she was so tired. And some part of her, the part that couldn't remember, trusted this man. Okay, she said. But you have to tell me everything. I will. I promise. And slowly, over the following months, he did. 8 months after the death. Back in the city, Jiwoo was making progress. Junpyo had begun responding to her more. Not much, a word here, a nod there, but it was better than the complete catatonia of the first 6 months. "Appa, I made your favorite soup," she said one afternoon, setting a bowl in front of him. "Thank you," he murmured, actually picking up the spoon. It was the first full meal he'd eaten in weeks. Jiwoo smiled, feeling victory within reach. Minho watched from the doorway, torn between relief that his boss was functioning again and disgust at Jiwoo's manipulation. "I need to leave the city," he announced that evening. Both Junpyo and Jiwoo looked up in surprise. It was the most reaction either had shown in months. "What?" Jiwoo asked. "Why? My mother is ill. In another city. She needs me urgently, and I don't know how long I'll be gone." He lied because he wanted to give his maximum attention to Zina. "Sir, I'm sorry, but I have to go. I've arranged for Mr. Kim to take over my duties while I'm away. He's competent and trustworthy. You'll be in good hands." Junpyo nodded slowly, the first real acknowledgement Minho had gotten from him in months. Jiwoo's face flickered with something satisfaction, relief, before she composed herself into concern. "Of course, Minho SSI. I hope your mother recovers quickly. Don't worry about Appa. I'll take care of him." "I'm sure you will," Minho thought grimly. He pulled Mr. Kim aside privately. "Watch her. Document everything she does, everyone she talks to, every interaction with Mr. Gu. And report to me daily." "Yes, sir." "And Kim? If Mr. Gu is in any danger at all, you call me immediately, and you call the police." "Understood." "Understood, sir." Minho left that night, and Jiwoo watched his car pull away with barely concealed satisfaction. Finally, the watchdog was gone. Now she could make real progress. 9 months after the death. At the rehabilitation facility, Zina was making remarkable progress. Her physical injuries had healed. Her memories were returning in pieces, some clear, some fuzzy, some just feelings without context. She remembered her mother clearly now. The illness, the hospital and her death. She remembered her father. The gambling, the betrayal and the complicated love-hate relationship. And she was starting to remember him. A face. Handsome. Korean. Eyes that looked at her with intensity. A name, Junpyo. "Tell me about him," she said to Minho during one of his visits. Minho took a deep breath. "His name is Gu Junpyo. And he's your husband." "Husband?" The word sent a shock through her system, triggering a flood of fragmented memories. A penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows. And then, something else. Warmth. Love. Choice. "I remember," she said slowly. "He bought me? From my father." "Yes. But then I fell in love with him." "Yes. And we were happy?" "Very happy. Until the accident." More memories flooded back. A sister. Half-sister. Jiwoo. Sweet at first, then. "The brakes," Zina gasped. "Jiwoo sabotaged my brakes. She tried to kill me." "Yes. And the fake death plan, we faked my death to expose her, but then there was a real accident. Everything was coming back now in a rush." "Oh my god. Junpyo thinks I'm dead." "For how long?" 9 months. Zina felt her heart shatter. 9 months? "Minho, what have we done to him?" "I know. I'm so sorry. I visit when I can, and my second-in-command sends me reports. He's Mrs. Gu, he's not well. The first 6 months, he barely functioned. He's only recently started responding to people again." "Take me to him." "Now. I need to see him." "Not yet. Your memory is still incomplete. The doctor says you need another few weeks of rehabilitation to ensure there's no relapse." "And Mrs. Gu." He paused. "You need to know what's happening right now." "What?" "Jiwoo is with him every day. She's been helping him recover, bringing him back from the edge. And according to Mr. Kim's reports, she's succeeding. He's eating again, talking again, and functioning again. Because she's trying to." Zina stopped, understanding. "She's trying to make him fall for her." "Yes. And I don't think it's working. He's not responding to her romantically. But she's persistent. How long until I can go to him? The doctor says your memory recovery is progressing well. Another month, maybe 2, and you should be stable enough. That's too long. What if Jiwoo? Mr. Kim is watching. If anything happens, I'll know immediately. But even Minho didn't know how quickly things were about to escalate. 11 months after the death. Zina was in physical therapy when Minho burst into the room, with his phone in his hand and his face looked pale. We have a problem. What? Mr. Kim just called. There's going to be a wedding. Zina felt the world tilt. What? Jiwoo, she convinced him. I don't know how, but she convinced him to marry her. The wedding is in 3 days. No. That's not. Zina grabbed the phone from Minho's hand. I need to speak to him. Now. Give me Junpyo's number. Mrs. Gu, wait. We need to think about this. I've been dead for 11 months while that snake convinced my husband to marry her. I'm done thinking. I'm done hiding. Give me the number or I'll find it myself. Minho gave her the number. But Zina didn't call. Because suddenly, she had a better idea. A terrible, vengeful, and perfect idea. She'd been lying in a hospital bed for almost a year, recovering from an attempted murder, while Jiwoo played house with her husband. While Jiwoo comforted him, helped him. But she was thinking about how Junpyo could easily forget her in just a few months and decided to marry her evil stepsister. The man who claimed to love her was going to marry her would-be killer less than a year after her death. Something cold and hard settled in Zina's chest. If Junpyo had moved on so quickly, if he'd let Jiwoo replace her so easily, then maybe he didn't deserve her love. Maybe he deserved to feel what she'd felt, betrayal, loss, and pain. Don't call him, she said to Minho. I'm going to stop the wedding in person. Mrs. Gu. And after I stop it, I will tell him everything and apologize. All right, I think it's a good idea. Zina's smile was cold. Junpyo, I wasn't expecting you to move on so quickly with my stepsister, but don't worry, I will handle everything my way from now on. Chapter 6. The Return. The taxi pulled up to the Four Seasons Hotel at 3:50 p.m. Zina paid the driver, gathered her evidence folders, and checked her reflection in her compact mirror one final time. The emerald green silk dress hugged her curves perfectly. Her hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders. Gold hoops glinted at her ears, gold necklace at her throat. She looked vibrant and powerful. Nothing like the broken woman who'd left in an ambulance nearly a year ago. Taking a deep breath, Zina walked into the hotel. The ceremony had already started. Zina could hear the officiant's voice through the closed ballroom doors. If any of you hear objects to this wedding, please do well to speak now or forever remain silent. She pushed the doors open immediately. The doors swung wide with a dramatic crash that echoed through the ballroom. I object to this wedding, Zina said as she entered with a cold smile. So many heads turned in her direction. For 3 heartbeats, nobody moved. Jiwoo was the first to regain her shock. Dongsing. Jiwoo's face transformed into shock and joy, or what looked like joy. She dropped her bouquet and ran down the aisle, tears streaming down her face. Dongsing. You're alive. Oh my God, you're alive. She reached Zina and fell to her knees, sobbing. I thought I'd lost you forever. I thought you were dead. Thank God you're alive. The guests murmured in confusion and amazement. At the altar, Junpyo stood frozen. His face was white. His eyes were wide with disbelief. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Because he had. Jiwoo was still on her knees, crying and reaching for Zina's hands. Dongsing, I'm so sorry. I know you must have so many questions running in your mind right now. Questions like why I'm marrying your husband. But we thought you were dead, and Appa was so broken, and I was just trying to help him heal. I wasn't trying to replace you. I would never. The slap that followed echoed through the silent ballroom like a gunshot. Jiwoo's head snapped to the side, her cheek already reddening. She stared up at Zina in shock, one hand pressed to her face. The guests gasped in horror. Oh my God, did she just hit her? That's her sister. How could she? The poor girl was just trying to help. She comes back from the dead and attacks her own family? Maybe the accident affected her brain. This is cruel. Jiwoo was mourning her. The whispers grew louder, more condemning. Guests shook their heads, looking at Zina with disapproval and shock. Some of the women clutched their pearls, literally scandalized. An elderly man near the front stood up. "Young lady, I don't know what you've been through, but that is no way to treat someone who's clearly overjoyed to see you alive." "Disgraceful," a woman muttered. "Absolutely disgraceful." Jiwoo looked up at Zina with wide, wounded eyes, playing the victim perfectly. "Dongsing, I don't understand. Why would you?" "You lying snake," Zina said, her voice clear and cold, cutting through the disapproving whispers. "You stand in front of these people, playing the victim. I never could have thought that our relationship was just a joke to you. I must say that you played your card well." The whispers stopped abruptly. "What is she talking about?" someone asked. "She's clearly delusional." "Am I delusional?" "Sis, why not tell them how you tampered with my break?" Zina said with a cruel smile. "Dongsing, I don't think you know what you are saying. Someone please call a doctor. My sister is losing her mind." Jiwoo yelled out. "Yes, I think that's what we should do. Who knows, maybe the accident affected a vital point in her brain." A lady in red chimed in. "I knew that you won't tell the truth easily, but I won't stress you to say anything," Zina said, and then she opened the first evidence folder and pulled out photographs. She held them up for the room to see, clear security camera stills of Jiwoo in the garage, under the Mercedes, tools in hand, tampering with brake lines. The date and timestamp were clearly visible. The morning Zina had her accident. "Security footage from our building," Zina announced. "The date and time is clearly visible here. She sabotaged my car. She tried to murder me." The ballroom went dead silent as guests leaned forward, squinting at the photos. That's her under the car. With tools. "Oh my god." Jiwoo's face crumbled. "No, that's not. I was just checking the car because I was worried about the maintenance." "With a wrench?" "At 9 a.m. when you knew I'd be gone all day." Zina threw the photos at Jiwoo's face. They scattered around her kneeling form, damning evidence for everyone to see. "You cut the brake lines. You wanted me to crash. You wanted me dead. This is insane." A voice rang out from the back of the room. Mrs. Park, perfectly coiffed in an expensive blue gown, stalked forward through the crowd. "My daughter would never. This is obviously doctored footage. Some kind of sick revenge fantasy because you're jealous that she moved on with your husband." "Moved on?" Zina's laugh was bitter and sharp. "Is that what you're calling it? Not conspiracy to commit murder? Not fraud? Not marrying him under false pretenses while I fought for my life in a hospital bed? You're clearly disturbed. The accident must have damaged your brain. You need help, not?" "My brain is fine, Mrs. Park. You are also an accomplice to this as well." The ballroom erupted in shocked gasps. Mrs. Park's face froze, her confident expression cracking. "Excuse me, what evidence do you have?" Just when Zina wanted to answer her, "I have evidence against you." Miho walked into the hall with documents in his hands. "Marcus Trump, your ex-husband." Miho pulled out the second folder with deliberate slowness, letting the tension build. "Medical examiner's report showing arsenic poisoning. Not natural liver failure, arsenic. Administered over weeks in small, careful doses." He held up the documents, and several guests moved closer to see. "Security footage of you visiting him in the hospital every single night for 2 weeks before his death. Always bringing homemade soup and always insisting the nurses leave you alone with him." Miho's voice was steel. "You murdered my father?" Zina asked while fighting back the tears that tried to fall from her eyes. Mrs. Park's carefully composed mask shattered completely. You can't prove. Those documents could be forged. Hospital security cameras don't lie. Neither does toxicology. The police will exhume his body and confirm everything." Zina took a step toward Mrs. Park, her voice dropping to something deadly. "You killed my father. I will make you and your daughter's life miserable." For a moment, there was complete silence. Then the ballroom exploded. She murdered her ex-husband? For money. And the daughter tried to kill her own sister. This is monstrous. The same guests who moments ago had been condemning Zina were now turning their fury on Jiwoo and Mrs. Park. A woman near the front, someone's aunt, expensively dressed with diamonds at her throat, turned to Jiwoo with absolute disgust on her face. "You tried to kill your own sister?" Your own blood? For what? Money? A man? No, I didn't. This is all a misunderstanding. Jiwoo scrambled to her feet, her white dress dirty from kneeling, her face streaked with tears and smeared makeup. You're a monster, someone shouted. A glass of red wine flew through the air. It splashed across Jiwoo's white wedding dress, crimson staining the silk like blood, spreading across her chest like a wound. Murderer. How could you? Your own sister. More wine flew. A champagne glass shattered near Jiwoo's feet. The guests pressed closer, their faces twisted with rage and disgust, their expensive jewelry glittering as they pointed accusing fingers. Enough. Junpyo's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. He'd finally moved from the altar, finally broken from his frozen shock. He strode down the aisle with dangerous purpose and positioned himself between Zina and the angry mob. But his eyes were fixed on Jiwoo with an expression of such cold fury that several guests stepped back instinctively. You tried to kill her, he said, his voice dangerously quiet. You tried to kill my wife. Appa, no, I didn't. Don't. The single word was a whip crack. Don't lie to me. Not when the evidence is right in front of me. He gestured at the scattered photographs. You sabotaged her car. You tried to murder her. And then, his voice broke with rage. Then you came into my home. You sat with me while I grieved. You pretended to care. You manipulated me when I was at my lowest. And all along, you were the reason she was gone. Jiwoo's face went white. I was trying to help you. Help me. Junpyo laughed, and it was a terrible sound. You destroyed me. You took the woman I love and tried to kill her. And when you failed, you tried to take her place. He turned to the police officers who were now entering the ballroom. Zina had called them before arriving, timing it perfectly. Officers, Junpyo said, his voice like ice. I want to press charges for attempted murder, fraud, conspiracy. Whatever will put her away for the longest possible time. Appa, please. And I want to make something very clear. He looked directly at Jiwoo, and his eyes were empty of any warmth or any mercy. I have resources, money, and power. And I'm going to use every single bit of it to make sure your life in prison is a living hell. I'll make sure you're denied parole. I'll make sure every appeal fails. I'll make sure you spend the rest of your miserable life behind bars, thinking every single day about what you tried to do to my woman. Jiwoo's legs gave out. She sank back to her knees, the wine-stained wedding dress pooling around her. Her face was a picture of devastation. You can't. Watch me, Junpyo said with a murderous tone. Mrs. Park tried to run. She'd been slowly backing toward the exit during the confrontation, but the police were faster. Officers blocked her path, and when she tried to push past them, they grabbed her arms. Let me go. Do you know who I am? My lawyers will. We'll meet you at the station, the lead officer said grimly. He'd been reviewing the evidence folders Zina handed him, and his face was grave. Mrs. Park, you're under arrest for the murder of Marcus Trump. You have the right to remain silent. As they read her rights, Mrs. Park's composure finally shattered completely. She shrieked, cursed, and struggled against the handcuffs. This is a setup. She's lying. All of this is fabricated. The hospital security footage is time-stamped and backed up on multiple servers, ma'am. The toxicology report was done by the state medical examiner. You can argue your case in court. They led her toward the exit, and she twisted back, her face contorted with rage. This isn't over. I'll destroy you. Both of you. I'll. The doors closed, cutting off her threats. The second officer approached Jiwoo, who was still kneeling on the floor, shaking. Mississippi Park, you're under arrest for attempted murder. Wait. Junpyo's voice stopped them. He walked over to Jiwoo and crouched down so they were eye level. His voice was soft, intimate, and terrifying. I loved Zina from the moment I saw her. I bought her, yes. I forced her into marriage. But I spent every day trying to be worthy of her. Trying to earn her love. Trying to become someone who deserved her. He paused. And you tried to take her from me. You tried to kill the only person who's ever made me want to be better. I'm sorry, Jiwoo whispered, tears streaming. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't bring back the year she lost. Sorry doesn't erase the year I spent dying inside, thinking she was gone forever. Sorry means nothing. He stood up. I meant what I said. I'm going to make your life hell. Every single day. For as long as you're alive. That's my promise to you. He nodded to the officers. Take her away. As they handcuffed Jiwoo and led her toward the exit, she turned back one final time. The tears were gone. The sweet, innocent mask had completely evaporated. Her face was twisted with pure, undiluted hatred. This isn't over, she hissed at Zina. I don't care if I go to prison. I don't care if I rot there for 50 years. I will find a way to make you pay for this. Both of you. I promise you, this isn't over. Yes, it is, Zina said calmly. You lost the moment you tried to kill me. You just didn't know it yet. The officers dragged her away, literally dragged, because Jiwoo had gone limp and ragdoll, refusing to walk, and the ballroom doors closed behind them. Silence fell. The guests stood in shocked stillness, processing everything they'd just witnessed. Then, slowly, people began to move. To whisper. To pull out phones. I need to call my husband. Did that really just happen? The photos were real, I saw them. She murdered her ex-husband. Within minutes, the ballroom was emptying as guests fled, already texting and calling, spreading the scandal across social media and through their networks. By tomorrow, everyone in the city would know. The Gu wedding was crashed by a dead bride who exposed a murder plot. Finally, only Zina, Junpyo, and Miho remained in the now empty ballroom. Zina turned towards Miho with curiosity in her eyes. How did you find out that Mrs. Park murdered my father? She asked Miho. Ma'am, I just decided to put an eye on Mrs. Park, and I found out about the lab scientist who carried out the test that was performed on your father before he died. After the accident, Mrs. Park gave the lab scientist a huge amount of money. That was when my suspicion increased, and when I dug deeper, I found out the true evidence. Thank you so much, Miho. You are really a loyal friend, brother, and family. Zina said to Miho, who nodded at her and then bowed at Junpyo before he walked out to give them privacy. The altar still stood, decorated with white roses and orchids. The chairs were still arranged in neat rows. The champagne table was still set up, glasses waiting for a celebration that would never happen. Zina finally gave Junpyo her attention. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Junpyo crossed the distance between them in 3 strides. He cupped her face in both hands, staring at her like he still couldn't quite believe she was real. Zina, he breathed. I can't, I thought I'd lost you forever. And he kissed her, hungrily and desperately like someone who has been deprived of air for a while. He kissed her like a man who'd been dead and suddenly found himself alive. Like every moment of grief and pain and loss was pouring out of him through this single point of connection. One hand tangled in her hair, the other pressed against the small of her back, pulling her so close there was no space between them. His lips moved against hers with desperate urgency, with love so intense it was almost violent. Zina felt the kiss all the way to her toes. Felt her carefully constructed walls begin to crack and crumble. She'd been so angry and so hurt, so ready to make him pay for forgetting her so soon. But feeling him kiss her like this, like she was oxygen and he'd been suffocating. She kissed him back just as desperately, her hands fisting in his jacket, rising on her toes to get closer, to feel more, to erase the 11 months of distance and pain. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Junpyo pressed his forehead to hers. I'm so sorry, he whispered, his voice wrecked. I'm so sorry for giving up, for not waiting longer, and for letting her manipulate me. 4. Shoo. Zina put her finger on his lips. We'll talk about all of that later. Right now, she looked around at the empty ballroom, the waiting altar, the unused decorations. Right now, there's a perfectly good wedding setup going to waste. He pulled back to look at her, confused. What? Marry me. Zina whispered with a new seductive confidence. We're already married. She took his hands. I want to marry you right here, right now, in this ballroom where I just destroyed your fake wedding. I want to marry you properly. As your choice, not your obligation. Zina. Do you want to marry me, Gu Junpyo? Right now, in this moment, with no contracts, no coercion, no games? Just you and me, choosing each other. His eyes filled with tears. Yes. God, yes. I'd marry you 1,000 times. Then let's do it. Right now. But there's no officiant, no license, no. There's an officiant. Zina pointed to the man who'd been conducting the ceremony, who'd retreated to a corner during all the chaos, but was still there. And I'm sure he'd be willing to conduct a different wedding. For the right price. The officiant, a nervous-looking man in his 50s, nodded eagerly. Yes, of course. It would be highly irregular, but given the circumstances. Minho, Zina called out. We need a witness. Minho approached, his face showing a mix of relief and lingering concern. Mrs. Gu, witness our wedding, please, right now. Zina pleaded. Are you sure this is? I'm sure. Minho looked between them, then sighed. Then I'd be honored. And so, in a ballroom still smelling of spilled wine, with scattered photographs of evidence on the floor, with the ghost of an aborted wedding hanging in the air, Zina and Junpyo got married. Properly this time. The officiant, clearly flustered but game, cleared his throat. Well, this is certainly unprecedented. But he looked at Zina. Do you have vows prepared? No. But I know what I want to say. She turned to face Junpyo fully, taking both his hands. I choose you, she said, her voice strong and clear. Not because I have to. Not because of contracts or obligations or debts. But because loving you is the scariest, most painful, most beautiful thing I've ever done. And I'm choosing to do it anyway. I'm choosing you, Gu Junpyo. Today and every day after. Junpyo's face was wet with tears he didn't bother to hide. I choose you, he said, his voice breaking. Every day for the rest of my life. I don't deserve you. I know I don't. But I'm going to spend every moment trying to become someone who does. I'm going to love you so completely, and I will protect you forever. Forever, that you'll never doubt it again. In joy and in grief, in presence and in absence, in this life and whatever comes after, I will choose you always. The officiant dabbed at his eyes with a handkerchief. That was, beautiful. Do you have rings? Junpyo reached into his pocket and pulled out the wedding band he'd been wearing, the one from their first marriage. This was hers. I never took it off. Not once in 11 months. Zina felt her throat tighten. You kept wearing it? It was all I had left of you. She slipped it back onto her finger. It fit perfectly, like it had never left. And you, the officiant asked Junpyo. I'll wear the one I had before, he said, pulling it from his other pocket. Unless, do you want me to have a new one? No, Zina said, sliding it onto his finger herself. That one is perfect. It represents everything we've been through and everything we've survived. The officiant smiled. Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may. He didn't get to finish. Junpyo was already kissing her, pulling her into his arms, holding her like he'd never let go. And this time, the kiss was different. Not desperate or frantic. It was like sealing a promise, cementing a choice and claiming forever. When they finally broke apart, both smiling through tears, Minho was applauding softly. Congratulations, sir. Mrs. Gu. Thank you, Minho, Zina said. Then, impulsively, she hugged him. Thank you for everything. For keeping me alive. For watching over him. For making this possible. Minho, stiff with surprise at first, slowly hugged her back. It was my honor, ma'am. Junpyo shook his hand. I don't know what you did this past year. But whatever it was, I owe you everything. You owe me nothing, sir. Just be happy. That's payment enough. They left the ballroom together, husband and wife again, properly this time. As they walked out, Junpyo said, Where do you want to go? Home? Or somewhere else, Zina decided. Somewhere new. This marriage deserves a fresh start. A honeymoon? A real one this time. Somewhere beautiful and far away from all of this. I know just the place. Junpyo said with a grin. They flew out that evening to an exclusive resort on a private island, white sand beaches, crystal blue water, luxurious bungalows over the water. It was a complete paradise. They spent the first day just being together, walking along the beach barefoot and hand in hand, swimming in the impossibly blue water. lying on lounge chairs under palm trees and soaking in the sun. Not talking about the heavy things yet. Just existing in the same space, breathing the same air, remembering what it felt like to be together. That evening, they had dinner on their private deck as the sun set, fresh fish, tropical fruit, wine that tasted like summer. "Is this real?" Junpyo asked, watching her across the table. "You're really here. We're really together. I can't believe it too, but it's real. I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and you'll be gone again. That this is just another dream. I'm not going anywhere." She reached across the table, taking his hand. "I promise. No more disappearing. No more fake deaths. Just us. Just us," he repeated, like a prayer. That night, they made love for the first time since their complicated relationship began. They took their time undressing each other. Zina had scars now from the accident, faint marks on her arms and ribs. Junpyo was thinner, his ribs more prominent under her hands. "You lost weight," she murmured, tracing the lines of his chest. "I stopped eating for months. Nothing tasted right without you. I'm here now. And that is the greatest gift that God has given to me." He kissed her slowly, thoroughly, worshipping every inch of her skin. Zina moaned. She covered her mouth to muffle the sound. Junpyo chuckled at her behavior. "You don't have to do that, my love. You can moan as loud as you want. Be rest assured that no one will hear you." Zina blushed at his words. "Zina, I want you now," Junpyo said with so much desire, like a dog that has been starved by its master, and finally its master was offering it a fat, healthy bone. Zina kissed him with same desire. "I want you too, Junpyo," she said to Junpyo. Junpyo then entered her slowly in order not to hurt her. They both gasped at the sensation, and at the connection, and at the overwhelming rightness of it. "I missed you," Junpyo breathed against her neck as he moved inside her. "Every second and every moment. I missed you so much I couldn't breathe." "I'm here," Zina gasped, wrapping her legs around his waist and pulling him deeper. "I'm right here. I'm not leaving." They moved together, building slowly and savoring every sensation after so much time apart. When they cummed, it was together. They cried out each other's names, holding on like they might drown without the anchor of each other's bodies. Afterward, wrapped in his arms, Zina felt something in her chest that had been clenched tight for months finally relax. She was home. They spent the morning in bed, making love again, then dozing off, then waking up to talk. "Tell me about the year," Zina said. "All of it. I want to understand." So Junpyo did. He told her about the first 6 months. The emptiness. The way food tasted like ash and colors looked gray. How Minho had to hire nurses because he was literally wasting away, his organs beginning to fail from malnutrition and depression. "There were days I didn't want to wake up," he admitted, his voice hollow. "Days where the only thing keeping me alive was knowing you'd be furious if I gave up. So I didn't. But I wasn't really living either. I was just barely existing." Zina felt tears slip down her cheeks. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I put you through that." "No, don't apologize. You survived. That's all that matters." He kissed her forehead. "But I need you to understand, when Jiwoo started helping me, I didn't love her. I didn't even like her. But she was the only person who could get me to eat, to shower, to get out of bed. She pulled me back from the edge of something very dark. And that's why you agreed to marry her." "Yes. She told me you'd want me to live, to be happy. And I wanted to believe there was a way forward that didn't feel like betrayal." His voice cracked. "I was wrong. It was betrayal. Even if I didn't love her, marrying anyone else was giving up on you. And I'm so sorry." "I forgive you," Zina said softly. He looked at her in disbelief. "How? How can you forgive me?" "Because I understand the grief that you went through now. How it warps your thinking and makes you do things you never would have done otherwise." She cupped his face. "You didn't marry her because you stopped loving me. You married her because you loved me so much that losing me broke something fundamental inside you. And you were just trying to survive. I don't deserve your forgiveness." "You do. I should be the one asking you for your forgiveness." Miho warned me against this, but I didn't listen. They made love again, slower this time and tenderly. Junpyo kissed every scar on her body, murmuring apologies and promises against her skin. And Zina let herself fall completely into the feeling of being loved, being wanted, and being chosen. They went snorkeling, exploring the coral reefs, swimming with tropical fish that darted around them in flashes of blue and yellow. They had lunch on the beach, laughing as they tried to crack open coconuts with rocks, getting nowhere until a resort staff member took pity on them and did it properly. They built a sandcastle that the tide immediately destroyed and laughed about the metaphor. "We keep building things," Junpyo said, "and life keeps knocking them down." "Then we'll keep building," Zina replied, "until we make something that lasts." That evening, they danced on the beach under the stars, no music except the sound of waves and their own breathing. "I love you," Junpyo said as they swayed together. "I never stopped. Not for a single moment. I love you too. Even when I wanted to hate you. I loved you." They made love on the beach, under the stars, the sound of waves providing rhythm. It was perfect. They spent 2 days just being lazy. Reading on the deck. Napping in hammocks. Swimming in the private pool attached to their bungalow. They talked about everything. About Zina's childhood. About Junpyo's difficult relationship with his father. About dreams they'd put aside. About hopes for the future. "I want children," Zina said one afternoon as they floated in the pool. "Not yet, I still don't want to compete for your attention with my future kids." Zina laughed out loud. "Are you being serious right now? You don't want to compete for my attention with our future kids? Who even told you that?" "Well, I saw it once in a movie, a man who loved his wife dearly. They were so in love with each other that nothing was able to tear them apart until his wife gave birth. His child competed for his wife's attention, and he also completed for his wife's attention. It got to the extent that the man wanted to sell his son to an orphanage home." "That's insane. How could the man do that?" "He must have been obsessed with his wife." "It's not love at all," Zina said to him. "Well, I don't want to know. All I know is that we aren't having kids now because I don't want to share your love with anyone." Zina looked at Junpyo helplessly and then smiled. They made love again in the pool. The next day, as they sat on their deck watching the sunset, Junpyo said something that changed everything. "When we get home, I want to give you something." "What?" "It's a surprise. You know how much I hate to wait." "Sorry, love." Junpyo apologized and Zina just smiled at him and then nodded. That night, as they made love one last time before leaving paradise, Zina kept on thinking about the surprise that Junpyo wanted to give or show her. On their last day, they packed slowly, neither wanting to leave the bubble of happiness they'd created. "Back to reality," Junpyo said as they boarded the private plane home. "Back to reality," Zina agreed. But she was quiet on the flight, lost in her own thoughts. When they landed and returned to the penthouse, it was late evening. They were both exhausted. After they rested a little while, Zina was expecting Junpyo to talk about the surprise or even show her the surprise, but Junpyo never did. In fact, he was already dozing off due to exhaustion. The next morning, lawyers arrived promptly at 9 a.m. 3 of them, carrying briefcases full of documents. When Zina saw them, she wanted to ask what was going on, but Junpyo answered her before she could ask. "This is my wedding gift to you. I want all my assets to be transferred to you." Junpyo said to Zina, who couldn't believe what she was hearing. "Junpyo, you are already the greatest gift ever. I don't need any other gift." Zina said with teary eyes. "No, my love. You deserve this 1 inch." Zina wanted to open her mouth to argue again, but Junpyo silenced her with his index finger. "Please don't reject this gift. It will hurt me if you do." Zina then hugged him with tears in her eyes and whispered thank you in his ears. They spread everything out on the dining room table, page after page of legal paperwork transferring ownership of every asset Junpyo had ever owned. "Mr. Gu, if you'll sign here, and here, and here." Junpyo signed without reading a single page. His eyes stayed on Zina the whole time. Transfer of company shares. Transfer of property deeds. Transfer of bank accounts. Transfer of investments. Page after page after page. Until everything, every single thing that had once belonged to Gu Junpyo, belonged to Zina instead. "That's the last one," the head lawyer said, collecting the signed documents. Mrs. Gu, you are now the sole legal owner of all assets previously held by Mr. Gu. Congratulations. The lawyers packed up and left. Junpyo and Zina stood alone in the penthouse. It's done, he said with a smile. Everything is yours. Chapter 7. Yuna's Return. I was expecting you to ask me what really happened almost a year ago. Zina asked as she laid down on Junpyo's chest the next day after the transfer of assets. I didn't think that it was important anymore. You are alive and well, and that's all that mattered to me, Junpyo said finally. I still want to tell you, Junpyo. Zina said. As you wish, my queen. Tell me everything. Junpyo said and paid attention to her next words. Zina explained everything to him. She told him about Jiwoo tampering with the brakes, about Minho discovering it and her decision to fake her death, about the plan to expose Jiwoo's true intentions. I was going to come back. But then there was a second accident, a real one, and I lost my memory. I've been recovering for almost a year with no idea who I was. I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to go this far. I just wanted to expose Jiwoo and find out if the mother was involved and what they have really planned to do, and Junpyo silenced her with his lips. It's fine. All that matters to me right now is that you are alive and well. Zina hugged him tightly with teary eyes. Thank you, Junpyo. Junpyo kissed her hair with a smile. 1 week after the assets transfer, the conference room at Gu Enterprises was filled with charts, financial reports, and spreadsheets. Junpyo stood at the head of the table, a laser pointer in hand, walking Zina through the complexities of running a multi-billion-dollar empire. This division handles real estate acquisitions, he explained, pointing at a flowchart. We have teams in Seoul, Tokyo, Singapore, and here in Los Angeles. Each team reports quarterly, but major purchases over 50 million require both our signatures now. Zina took notes diligently, her brow furrowed in concentration. And the tech investments? That's handled by the subsidiary. He clicked to the next slide. We have stakes in 17 startups, venture capital in 12 more. The returns have been strong, 23% growth year over year. That's impressive. It is. But it requires constant monitoring. Markets shift, companies fail, new opportunities emerge. That's why we have analysts working around the clock. They'd been doing this for a week now, Junpyo teaching her everything about the business, making sure she understood every aspect of what they now own together. He was patient, thorough, and never condescending. He treated her like an equal partner. You're a natural at this, he said during a coffee break. You pick things up faster than most of the executives I've hired. I'm motivated. It's our company after all, and I want to understand it. Junpyo patted her hair gently with a smile and Zina blushed. As time went on, Zina settled into a routine. Mornings at the office learning the business. Afternoons handling her charity work. Evenings at home with Junpyo, discussing the day, planning the future, slowly building the life they wanted. It felt good. This particular evening, she'd stayed late at the office, reviewing acquisition proposals. It was nearly 8 p.m. when she finished. Her phone buzzed with a text from Junpyo. I'm downstairs waiting for you. Wanted to pick you up tonight. Zina smiled, her heart warming. He'd been doing sweet things like this all week, bringing her lunch, picking her up, leaving little notes around the penthouse. They were really in love with each other. She gathered her things, checked her reflection in the compact mirror, touched up her lipstick, smoothed her hair, and headed downstairs with a spring in her step. The elevator ride down felt too slow. She was eager to see him, to kiss him, to ride home together talking about their days. The elevator doors opened to the underground parking garage. Zina stepped out, looking for Junpyo's car, the black Mercedes he always drove. She spotted it near the entrance, engine running. And then she froze. A woman was walking toward the car. Elegant, beautiful, with long dark hair and a fitted dress that showed off her figure. Yuna Choi. Zina watched in disbelief as Yuna opened the passenger door of Junpyo's car and slid inside. She watched as Junpyo, her husband, the man who'd just texted that he was here to pick her up, drove away with another woman. The car disappeared up the ramp and out onto the street, taillights vanishing into the night. Zina stood frozen in the parking garage, her mind spinning with possible explanations. Maybe Yuna needed a ride. Maybe there was a business emergency. Maybe it's not what it seems. But why hadn't he texted her? Why hadn't he said, I have to help someone first, I'll be right back? Why had he just left her there? She pulled out her phone, staring at his text, I'm downstairs waiting for you. Zina's hands started shaking. No, don't jump to conclusions. There's an explanation. There has to be. She walked to her own car, the new one that Junpyo had bought for her. Her mind was racing the entire drive. Maybe he dropped Yuna off somewhere and he's on his way back. Maybe there's an emergency I don't know about. Maybe I'm overreacting. But the image of Yuna sliding into his car kept playing on repeat in her mind. The casual way she'd done it, like it was routine. Like she belonged there. Meanwhile, 30 minutes earlier, Junpyo had been waiting in his car, checking his watch. Zina would be down any minute. He was looking forward to the drive home. Maybe they'd stop for dinner, or just go straight back and cook together like they'd been doing. These simple moments of domesticity had become his favorite part of the day. A knock on his window startled him. He looked up to see Yuna Choi standing there, her face pale and urgent, tears streaming down her cheeks. He rolled down the window, frowning. Yuna? What are you doing here? Are you all right? Junpyo, please, her voice broke. I need to talk to you. It's urgent. It's a life or death matter. Haven't I told you to stay away from my life? It's about your mother. The words hit him like a physical blow. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. What? Your mother. She's alive. And she's dying. Junpyo's jaw clenched, old pain and rage flooding through him. That's impossible. My mother is probably enjoying somewhere with the man she left me and my father for. She's been gone for 13 years. She's not gone. She's been living in a care facility outside the city. She has stage 4 cancer. The hospice called me because they found an old contact card with my family's number on it. Your mother and mine were friends years ago, remember? Yuna's tears were flowing freely now. Junpyo, she is hours at most. Maybe less. She's been asking for you. Begging to see you before she dies. I don't care. The words came out flat and emotionless, but underneath was a volcano of pain he'd buried for 13 years. You don't need me to remind you of how she treated me and my father, Yuna. You were the one that helped me survive the pain back then. My father died because of her. He died of depression, because of heartbreak. So no, I don't care if she's dying. Let her die, I don't give a fuck about it. Junpyo, I remembered everything, but... No. I'm done with this conversation. Yuna's expression shifted and became desperate. What do you think Zina would think of you when she heard this matter? What do you mean? What if she finds out that your mother was alive and dying, that she just needed to see you one last time, begged for your forgiveness, and you refused? Yuna leaned closer to the window, her voice urgent. Junpyo, Zina lost both her parents. She'd give anything to have one more conversation with them, one more chance to say goodbye. If she finds out you had that chance and threw it away because of pride. Junpyo closed his eyes, the words hitting home. Zina had mourned her mother so deeply, had tried to reconcile with her father even after he'd sold her. She believed in forgiveness, in second chances, in the possibility that people could change. If she found out he'd refused to see his dying mother, she'd think he was cruel, cold, and heartless. And he was trying so hard to be better for her, to be the man she deserved. Even if it meant facing the woman who'd abandoned him 13 years ago. All right, he said finally, his voice tight with old pain. I'll see her once. Say what needs to be said. Then I never want to hear about her again. Thank you. Oh God, thank you. Yuna opened the passenger door quickly. We need to go now. The hospice is 40 minutes away, and the nurses said she might not make it through the next few hours. Wait, I need to tell Zina. He reached for his phone, but the screen was black. Damn it. Let me use yours. Mine died too. I've been at the hospice all evening, no chance to charge it. Yuna's voice was urgent. But we can call her from there. They have phones. We just need to go now, Junpyo. Please. Your mother is dying. He hesitated, torn between waiting for Zina and the urgency in Yuna's voice. If his mother really was dying tonight. Fine. But I'm calling Zina the second we get there. Of course. Let's just go. Junpyo put the car in drive and pulled out of the garage, guilt gnawing at him for leaving Zina without explanation. But what choice did he have? Let his mother die without saying goodbye just to avoid inconveniencing his wife for an hour? Zina would understand if he comes back and explained everything to her. The drive took 45 minutes, every mile taking them further from the city into quieter suburbs. The hospice was a small, peaceful facility, nothing like the sterile hospitals Junpyo associated with death. It looked almost like a home, with gardens and soft lighting. Yuna led him through quiet hallways to a private room at the end of a corridor. She's in here, Yuna said softly. I'll wait outside. This should be private. Junpyo stood at the door for a long moment, his hand on the handle, steeling himself. He hadn't seen his mother in 13 years and hadn't spoken to her. Hadn't thought about her except in anger. And now she was dying, and he was about to face her one last time. He opened the door. The room was dimly lit, machines beeping softly. And in the bed, hooked up to oxygen and 4 lines, was a woman he barely recognized. His mother. Except she looked nothing like the woman who'd left. That woman had been beautiful, vibrant, dressed in nice clothes even when they couldn't afford them. This woman was skeletal. Gray. Withered by disease until she was barely human. But her eyes, when they opened and focused on him, were the same. Junpyo. Her voice was a raspy whisper. Is that really you? He stepped into the room, closing the door behind him. It's me. Tears immediately flooded her eyes. Oh my God. My son. My baby boy. You came. You actually came. Yuna said you were dying. I am. She tried to lift her hand toward him, but it was too weak. The doctors say I have days at most. Maybe hours. Junpyo stood at the foot of her bed, keeping distance between them. Why did you want to see me? To apologize. To beg your forgiveness before I die. Tears streamed down her hollow cheeks. Junpyo, I'm so sorry. For leaving. For abandoning you and your father. For being so weak that I ran with a rich man instead of staying and fighting. Did you just say it's because you were weak? His voice was cold. No, you left because you were greedy, because you had no motherly love or compassion on your own husband. You left because we were poor. Because you couldn't handle the shame of having nothing. Yes, I was ashamed. I was selfish. I thought, she coughed, a wet, terrible sound. I have no excuse for my actions. I thought I could find an easier life. But I was wrong. I've spent 13 years regretting that decision every single day. Did you know he died? My father. I heard. Years later. And it destroyed me. She was sobbing now. I killed him. By leaving, I killed the man I loved. And I've had to live with that. Good. The word came out harsh. You should live with it. You should suffer the way he suffered. The way I suffered. I know, I deserve it. I deserve all of it. She looked at him with desperate eyes. But please, Junpyo. Please forgive me. I'm dying. I'll be gone soon. And I can't die knowing my son hates me. I do hate you. He stepped closer to the bed, and all the rage he'd buried for 13 years came pouring out. Do you know what you did to us? To me? I was 15 years old when you left. 15. And I had to watch my father fall apart. I had to watch him stop eating, stop caring, stop wanting to live. I had to become the man of the house when I was still a child because you weren't strong enough to stay. I'm sorry. I had nothing. No money for college. No future. No hope. So I did whatever I had to do to survive. Legal and illegal, I didn't care. I built an empire from nothing because I swore I'd never be that poor, helpless kid again. His voice dropped to something deadly. I became a monster. I became a heartless monster who controls them, who doesn't trust anyone. And it's because of you. Every dark thing in me exists because the day you walked away, you destroyed the boy I could have been. She was sobbing uncontrollably now. I'm so sorry. God, Junpyo, I'm so sorry. I ruined you. I ruined everything. Yes, you did. They sat in silence, his rage and her guilt filling the room like poison. Finally, after what felt like hours, Junpyo spoke again. But I met someone. A woman who saw past the monster. Who chose to love me even when I didn't deserve it. Who taught me that I could be better than my worst choices. His voice softened slightly. Her name is Zina. And she's the reason I'm here. Because she would never forgive me for letting you die without giving you a chance to say goodbye. His mother smiled through her tears. She sounds like an angel. She is. And because of her, he took a deep breath. Because of her, I forgive you. His mother's eyes widened. What? I forgive you. The words came out easier than he expected. Not because you deserve it. Not because what you did was okay. But because holding on to this hate is poison. And I won't let you destroy any more of my life. So I forgive you. For leaving. For Dad's death. For everything. Thank you. She was crying harder now, but it was different. It was a cry of relief and burden lifted. Thank you, my son. Thank you. I hope you find peace. Whatever comes next. I will now. Because of you. She reached out weakly, and after a moment, Junpyo took her hand. It was thin, brittle, barely there. They sat like that for several minutes, silence between them, 13 years of pain slowly dissolving. I'm proud of you, she whispered. Despite everything. I'm proud of the man you became. You don't get to be proud. You weren't there. I know. But I am anyway. Her breathing was getting shallower. Take care of yourself. And your Zina. Don't make my mistakes. I won't. Her hand went limp in his. The machines made a long, steady beep. And just like that, she was gone. Junpyo sat there for a long moment, holding his dead mother's hand, feeling nothing, just emptiness. He'd forgiven her. That would have to be enough. He stood, gently placed her hand on the bed, and walked out of the room. When he came out, he saw Yuna coming out from a room while adjusting her gown, like as if she had pulled her gown off before. But he felt it wasn't his business. How is she? Yuna asked after she spotted Junpyo. She's dead. I'm so sorry. Yuna put her hand on his arm. Are you okay? I will be. Thank you. For bringing me. For giving me the chance to say goodbye. He meant it. I would have regretted it forever if I hadn't come. Of course. I'm glad I could help. Yuna's smile was gentle. What do you need? Can I drive you home? No, I'll drive. I need to tell Zina. She doesn't know about my mother. I've never mentioned my parents to her before. Even if I haven't told her the REAI story. He checked his watch. Nearly 11 p.m. And I need to arrange the funeral. Let me know if you need anything. Anything at all. I will. Thank you again, Yuna. Yuna watched him leave with a satisfied smile. Sorry, Junpyo, if I won't have you, then no one else will. Junpyo left the hospice, got in his car, and sat in the parking lot for a moment, while processing everything. His mother was dead. The death was starting to get to him. He needed to get home. He needed to see Zina. Needed to tell her about his mother, about why he'd disappeared without explanation. He would probably break down in her arms and cry his eyes out. He started the car and began the long drive back to the city. Meanwhile, at the penthouse, 9:30 p.m. Zina arrived home, her stomach churning with worry and confusion. Minho was in the lobby, reviewing security footage on his tablet. He looked up as she entered. Mrs. Gu, good evening. Mr. Gu isn't with you. No. He was supposed to pick me up, but she stopped, not wanting to voice her fears. Have you heard from him? Not since this afternoon. Is everything all right? I'm sure it's fine. Just a miscommunication. She forced a smile. I'm going upstairs. If he calls, let me know. Of course, ma'am. Zina rode the elevator up, trying to calm her racing heart. Inside the penthouse, everything was exactly as they'd left it that morning. Coffee cups in the sink. A note from Junpyo on the counter. Have a great day. I love you. Jay. She stared at the note, at his handwriting, at the casual declaration of love. He loves me. There's an explanation. There has to be. She tried calling him. Voicemail. She tried again. Voicemail. Texted, where are you? I came down and you were gone. No response. An hour passed. Then 2. No Junpyo. No text. No call. Zina paced the penthouse, anxiety building with every passing minute. Maybe his phone died. Maybe there was an emergency. Maybe. But why would he leave with Yuna? Why her, of all people? At 10 p.m., Zina couldn't take the silence anymore. She called his phone again, her heart pounding. It rang 3 times. Then a woman answered. Hello. Yuna's voice was breathless and was that moaning in the background? Zina's blood turned to ice. Yuna? Where's Junpyo? Why do you have his phone? Oh, Zina. Yuna's voice was dripping with false sweetness, but underneath was something cruel. Junpyo's a bit occupied right now. And then Zina heard it. Clearly, unmistakable sounds in the background. A man's voice groaned Junpyo's voice. Yuna's breathy moans. The rhythmic creaking of a bed. What? Zina couldn't breathe. What is that? Oh, Junpyo. Yuna's voice came through clearly now. You're so sweet. I want more, please. Don't stop. Stop it. Zina's voice came out as a strangled cry. Stop lying. This isn't. Yuna continued to moan. The call ended abruptly. Zina stood frozen, phone in her trembling hand, her mind refusing to process what she'd just heard. It's not real. It can't be real. Yuna's playing games. This is probably one of her manipulating games. Her phone buzzed. An incoming video call from Junpyo's number. For a moment, she didn't want to answer. Didn't want to see whatever lie Yuna had prepared. But she had to know. Had to see for herself that it was fake, that Yuna was alone, that this was all manipulation. She answered the video call. And Zina's entire world shattered into a million pieces. On the screen, in perfect, horrible, undeniable clarity. Junpyo, unmistakably Junpyo, his face, his body, his build on top of Yuna. Both completely naked. His body moving against hers in the unmistakable rhythm of sex. His face was visible this time, jaw clenched, eyes closed, the exact expression he made when they made love. Clothes scattered on the floor, his shirt, his pants, and Yuna's dress. Yuna saw the camera and smiled, a vicious, triumphant smile, even as she moaned and arched beneath him. Oh yes, Junpyo, just like that. Zina's hand flew to her mouth, stifling the scream that wanted to tear from her throat. She ended the call with shaking hands and dropped the phone like it had burned her. Her legs gave out. She collapsed to her knees, her whole body convulsing with shock. No, 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 no. This couldn't be real. But it was. She'd seen his face. His body. Every detail. It was him. Her husband. Inside another woman. She crawled to the bathroom and vomited, her body rejecting the horror of what she'd seen. When there was nothing left, she sat on the cold tile floor, her back against the wall, staring at nothing. He did it again. Just like Jiwoo. He replaced me again. The thought cut through her shock. She'd forgiven him once. Believed he'd changed. Believed in their love. And he'd destroyed it all. For Yuna. I can't do this anymore. The realization came with absolute clarity. She couldn't be weak again. This time, she had to save herself. Zina pulled herself up from the bathroom floor, moving like a ghost. Then she walked to the door. In the lobby, Minho looked up. Mrs. Gu? It's late. Where are you going? Just for a walk. I need some fresh air. Minho studied her tear-stained face. Are you sure you're all right? I'm fine. I just need to clear my head. Would you like me to come with you? No. I'll be back soon. She walked out into the Los Angeles night and didn't look back. 2 a.m. Junpyo pulled into the parking garage, exhausted both emotionally and physically. The last 6 hours had been a whirlwind, his mother's death, the forgiveness, the arrangements he'd need to make. But right now, he just needed to see Zina. To tell her everything. To apologize for disappearing. He rode the elevator up, already planning what he'd say. He opened the penthouse door. Zina? I'm home. I'm so sorry I'm late, my phone died and... He stopped. The penthouse felt different, but he couldn't explain why. Zina? He walked through the rooms. The bedroom was empty. The bathroom was also empty. There was no sign of her. Returning to the living room, he saw papers on the dining table. He was curious, so he walked over with dread pooling in his gut. A letter and divorce papers, both in Zina's handwriting. With shaking hands, he picked up the letter and began to read. I saw you tonight. With Yuna. Junpyo. I called your phone and she answered. I heard you with her. Then the video call showed me exactly what you two were doing. You with her, both naked, your face, your body, I saw it all. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep giving you my heart just to watch you destroy it over and over again. You were with Jiwoo when you thought I was dead. I forgave you. I understood the grief you went through and the manipulation she used. But this? I'm alive. We just got back together. And you threw it away for Yuna. I see the pattern now. Every time things get hard, you turn to someone else. Jiwoo. Yuna. Who's next? I won't wait to find out. By the time you see this letter, I am already far away from your life and city. You can keep everything. The business, the penthouse, all of it. I don't want anything that reminds me of you. I'm filing for divorce. My lawyers will contact you. I'm asking for nothing. Don't try to find me. Don't send anyone after me. If you ever loved me, let me go. I loved you more than anyone. I chose you when I didn't have to. I forgave you when I shouldn't have. But you didn't choose me. Not when it mattered. Goodbye, Junpyo. The divorce papers are on the table. Just sign them. It's the kindest thing you can do for me now. Zina. Junpyo sat in the empty penthouse, holding his wife's goodbye letter, and felt his heart shatter into pieces too small to ever put back together. Thank you so much for watching part 2 of My Father Sold Me to a Mafia King. Your support, comments, and love for Zina and Junpyo's story mean the world to me. Every like, share, and subscription keeps this channel going and motivates me to bring you more chapters of their journey. If you enjoyed this part, please don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts below, share with friends who love romance and drama, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. But wait, the story isn't over yet. Part 3 is coming. What do you think Zina would do when she finds out that she is pregnant with Junpyo's baby after she left Junpyo's life? Would she go back to him, abort the baby out of anger, or carry the responsibility alone? What happens when Zina walks into a ballroom with a handsome man holding her arms and comes face to face with Junpyo after 2 years of separation? If you were Junpyo, would you walk up to her and explain what happened years ago? Or would you ignore her and let her go forever? And what would Zina do when she finds out that Junpyo was already married to the same woman that ruined her marriage 2 years ago? The stakes are higher. The emotions are deeper. The secrets are darker. Subscribe to this channel now to find out everything that happened in part 3. Trust me, it's only getting more intense and hotter. And don't forget to tell me where you are watching from and what time it is over there. See you in part 3, my dearest fans.